Alright, so figured I'd do another comic review, and this is a comic I've actually been wanting to read because of just how fascinating the idea of it is. And it's something like, it also features something that I've always wanted to see but never got to see until now. And that is Doctor Strange, Herald of Galactus, or Herald Supreme, or just Herald. So, Doctor Strange, Herald Supreme is written by Mark Waid. This is basically his ending of his run for the character, and was kind of like a stepping stone in for a lot of other stuff to happen with not just Strange, but also Clea. Now, it's interesting to note that even though this is the third volume of Mark Waid's run, this feels like it could be its own story. Like, this, aside from a few things that are introduced in here, this really does feel like its own run. Like, it really does feel like it's its own story. And it's one I think Mark Waid feels like it's one he's kind of wanted to tell. And it's very much classic Mark Waid, where you have hero fights villain, and hero overcomes great adversity and whatnot. It's very much Mark Waid's old thing of the hero's journey, and he's really good at it. So, what is this story? How do we get Doctor Strange, Herald of Galactus? Well, the story starts off with Doctor Strange more or less just in the Sanctum Sanctorum, just kind of like, my life's kind of getting boring. Like, I'm just fighting. He's having that kind of repetitiveness that some heroes have, or it's like, I'm just feeling it, like it's just another day at the office. And then an alien wizard shows up named Zolaz, who basically says, Strange, my people are going to get eaten by Galactus. You gotta, give me your spells and I will stop Galactus. And he's like, no, that's not how this works. And Zolaz's like, fuck you. And steals Doctor Strange's magical artifacts and sends Galactus into the realm of the mystic realm. Yeah, so Galactus is there, and Doctor Strange is like, shit. If he eats anything there, he's going to cause a major imbalance, because Galactus is a being of science. He's never encountered magic before. So, to introduce a being of science into a realm of magic is basically letting in a... what's a good way to describe this? It's very much like letting a invasive species into a new environment. Kind of like how here in Florida we have pythons who have invaded and more or less taken up territory in the Everglades and are eating the wildlife here. So it's kind of like that. Galactus is an invasive species, and the effects that he will cause of being here will devastate not just the mystic realm, but also the physical world as well. The line between science and magic will be blurred. So Steven, alongside his ex-wife Clea, have to work together alongside several of Strange's enemies to drive Galactus out of here. Doesn't go exactly as planned. Yeah, I will get more into that, but yeah. So this is like, if you want to read like a really good like Doctor Strange story, here you go. If you're looking for like classic Strange, but with a cool spin to it, look no further than this comic. Mark Waid really does a great job of doing not just a great mystic story, but he also does a really good job of mixing a good cosmic story. This is also a lot of fun because even though, Steven at the beginning of it's like, oh, I'm so bored, I'm just I'm Doctor Strange, but I'm just fighting the same villains over and over again, woe is me. It's like that for a second, because he's like, the moment Zolaz, the alien wizard, shows up, he's like, wow, me and my big fucking mouth. So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot, like, literally, this comic is very much like like a typical Doctor Strange story, but it has a major twist to it, introducing Galactus. Because, yeah, Strange has encountered Galactus, but he's never fought Galactus head on. Like, he's never, like, fought Galactus. He's aided in battling Galactus, but it's never just been, like, him and Galactus. So to have that is a really cool thing. I thought that was a really cool, like, science versus magic kind of thing. Also, we get something I've always wanted to see in Marvel Comics. Dormammu versus Galactus. Although, I will say it does kind of... It really does feel like it's undercut, because Yeah, Galactus, I mean, Dormammu tries to trick Galactus into becoming his instrument of destruction, but then Galactus is like, fuck you, and absorbs him. And steals his energy and becomes a being of both science and magic. It also drives him crazy. And yeah, I feel like I wish we got more of that, of Dormammu fighting Galactus. I wanted a legit fight, but more like it's Dormammu like blasts him, and Galactus is like, come here. Dormammu. So, yeah, there's a lot of like fun scenery in here. This is very much like the artwork in here by, hang on, let me get the artist real quick for all of you. The artwork's done by Scott Kobish with Scott Hanna, alongside Brian Rebar doing the colors. So the artwork, real quick, let me show you the... actually, let me show you like a good one. It's very like... The artwork is very like 90s. It almost feels like 90s, early 2000s art. Or late... It feels like a very... it feels like a late 90s, early to mid 2000s Marvel comic artwork. So let me give you like a good example of what... Here you go. There's Dormammu, Galactus Dormammu. Yeah, or I guess you could say Magic Galactus, something of that nature. Yeah. So this is a lot of fun of mixing cosmic with, big stakes. Although it does kind of fly in the face of continuity, because you have Black Bolt here, and Black Bolt at the time had lost his voice, but here he's using his voice, and because this is set, like, I think this is set... Death of the Inhumans, I think, came before this, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, though. But yeah, I was like, and again, it's just like a nice little bubble, because it just kind of resets itself at the end of the story. But there is something that goes on between Doctor Strange and Mephisto. There's a deal made between the two. And if you've noticed, they talk a lot about Clea. And it's almost like they telegraph it from the get-go. Can you guess what happens? Yeah. You can already... Like, I don't even have to say it, do I, of what Mephisto wants from Doctor Strange. Yeah. So, do I recommend Doctor Strange, Herald of Galactus? Absolutely. If you love, like, this is a great, like... Even though, like I said, yes, this is the third volume to Mark Waid's run, it really does feel like its own thing, give or take a few things here and there, which you could just read on Wikipedia. Like the Ghost Basset Hound bats. But other than that, this is really a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's more or less... I love any kind of story involving Galactus, so it was kind of cool to see him in a new element. I do wish there were some longer action sequences, but Mark Waid is a great storyteller nonetheless, and this feels like classic Marvel. And that's what I love about Mark Waid's storytelling, is when he's left to his own... And this isn't the first time Waid has written Doctor Strange. He's done a lot of really cool stuff with Doctor Strange in the past, so this just really adds to it. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much my review of Doctor Strange, Herald of Galactus. If you guys read it, comment below, let me know what you guys thought of it. And if you're new here, hit the link below to my Patreon, where you can guys see some exclusive content. If you hit the fourth tier, if you join the fourth tier of that, you guys can send me a message there on Patreon, and I will do a request by you here on YouTube. But other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.